Welcome, ghouls, ghoulettes, and guesties to GonstFM Off Air, the official podcast companion to 66.6 GonstFM, the internet radio station dedicated to the band Ghost and the wider Gonst community. I'm Papa X.
And I'm Uncle Ghoul.
And we are back with our Witch Images series in which we explore the music videos of the band Ghost. And with it being the 10-year anniversary of Meliora, we are kicking off our Meliora era of this series, starting with the music video for Cirice.
This is one of my actually favorite videos, even though it's one that I haven't watched in a while, and I know you haven't either, but it's such a unique video in the way that Ghost does videos. Like this video has almost its own story. Like there's no sense of lore in this video really, or other things. It's just a cool homage to old school horror, but with ghost iconography, and I really appreciate that. And it was such an interesting time. We were talking before we started recording about how this is such a fast turnaround from the last album cycle to this, where we have such a short gap, where this video comes out 1 week after the first show with, you know, the new Papa 3 in the start of this era. And it's also only 8 months after the last show was performed, the Papa 2.
Right.
So in the grand scheme of things, compared to like the gaps we've had recently, this is a really fast turnaround of just, you know, hitting us over the head with new content and introducing such a bigger production value. And we kind of, as we get to this era and we get through these music videos, there's so much more we can talk about because there's so much more going on.
Yeah, and I like the direction they took with this video, especially after year zero. It's like one of the first times we see a child actor getting used in a Ghost music video, and this one is where the child actor just takes main stage and is a young Papa 3, and the title character, Cirice, is a young girl in the audience, and I really love the 70s aesthetic of the cinematography here, and especially the title screen. There's a movie called The House of the Devil that Ty West did, who is the director of the Maxine trilogy, and that is, both of those, that film and that trilogy are, well, at least the first movie in the Maxine trilogy and The House of the Devil are very 70s driven, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that's the aesthetic here with the cinematography and then the title card and the freeze frame, like how she's walking into the building for this talent show, and they did that freeze frame where she's like looking outside as the guitar intro is playing, and it's really ominous, you know, looking.
We get that great little dialogue too of, you know, the hurry up Cirice, and, you know, the camera follows as, you know, they take their program and everything. It's so, and then the look back, you know, as she's walking in, and this actress does such a phenomenal job.
Yeah, it's really cool when you see child actors in anything, because they almost have everything riding on their shoulders, because, you know, they're young and they're not, you know, as seasoned as many actors are, and it's always a gem when you can find kids that are this damn good at it.
Yeah, and like with her, you know, for those who don't know, she was played by Masha Malanina, and you can find a bunch of stuff on her website. And she was actually really active on like the Facebook side of the fandom around this time. And she has a long resume of being a child actor in a bunch of game shows and TV shows, and also you know, YouTube skits and shorts and independent horror films. Often playing this kind of role of, you know, a kid with kind of a creepy look. And there's some great stuff if you look through that too. Is that she's a really talented young actress and really understood exactly what this character of Cirice was going to be. And I think understood what the direction was of what they wanted for this character, of like it being such an old school horror kind of, you know, it's a horror trope, you know, the creepy little girl, you know.
Yeah, there's definitely some Carrie vibes in some of the back half of the video, and that again lends to the whole 70s talk. Carrie was like, it was made in 76.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I might be wrong on that. Like I'm sitting.
I could be too, but I'm pretty sure.
God damn, I'm good.
yeah,
1976.
I think you're right. Like, that sounds right. I was like, I can't.
Yeah, I often doubt my my cinema recall. And I shouldn't do that.
and then you're right, dead on.
Yeah.
I also love that in this video, you immediately get this kind of vibe that these kids, you know, as they're portraying Ghost, are from the previous era, even though it's for this new era. Like, I love seeing the miniature Bata masks and the Infest robes, and, you know, the Papa 2 staff made of paper, you know, or like card foam board. I love that it's kind of it's a really smart visual move because even though this is the new era, everyone is probably most familiar with that version. That's what's more iconic because at this point we only had a week of this new Ghoul thing, and it wouldn't be recognizable to most people. As it's a really smart kind of bit of brand recognition on the production team's behalf. So even though it's for a new song, let's hit people's heads with what's recognizable. And I think that's really genius.
Right, because even the buildup with one of the initial Sister Imperators, when they had the clergy and the ghouls in there, and she was like, "Oh, hey, man, fuck Papa 2, here's his brother," pretty much, like, for like a better
fun
term.
fact, that first summoning video aired at like midnight on VH1 on without anyone, like, no build up for it. It just showed up and someone filmed it. So like I miss when they would do promotional stuff like that. Like that's so fun of before they launch those YouTube series. It's just midnight. Imagine just watching, like you just wake up in the middle of the night and that's on your TV.
I was literally thinking that, dude. Like imagine, but even if you didn't wake up, you're just sitting up late one night and watching it, and like you go from, I don't know, like a Pure Moods volume whatever the fuck, whatever they had, like the 900 or 800 numbers you could call to like order albums off the phone. Like, they call this number right now for Pure Moods volume 3.
The greatest hits.
Yeah, exactly. Like, do you like adult contemporary music? Do you like slow power ballads? Do you like this? Do you like that? And then all of a sudden, you just see Sister Imperator slinging a dildo around. This is a disgrace! Like, what the fuck?
Papa 2 has been let go. Who the fuck's Papa 2?
His younger brother by 3 whole months. Like, who? I can't see the guy because he's in all the shadow and everything. But yeah, that is a really smart move on their part to do that because, like you said, nobody's really familiar with Papa 3 yet, and at least until after the tour that they literally launch right as this is happening, then people will be like, "Oh, there's that new guy. I hope he's in the next video."
Interestingly, at this time too, Papa 3 is still wearing that premiere night mask because those first 3 weeks were all festival dates, and we're done wearing that kind of Papa 2-esque mask that we talked about in our Mask of the Evil One series, the premiere night mask. So even then, it's still not recognizable to wear anything else, So it's kind of interesting how at this point there was still this kind of in between, and it kind of looks like they were like teasing it because it does look like the ghouls here, while are wearing the Bata masks, they are painted silver versus black,
right?
Kind of like in the vein of the Meliora mask, kind of like a mix of all of those eras while not being, overt. But it's interesting, and I really do appreciate that little bit of mixing of costumes there to kind of give you and it does feel authentic of like as if kids were to dress up as the band in a talent show. If you were to see it today, like this is probably what they would do. Go to the Halloween store and get costumes that are close enough and modify it.
So it's something I want to bring up to you that I think is an interesting production note. And this is more or less just an observation to like the two of most people might do this if they're gearheads like we are. What did you think about them not actually using the Phantom and guitars and they're using Les Pauls?
Yeah, I find it very interesting because I'll get nerdy about this.
Go ahead. That's exactly why I brought this up.
This would have been right around the time they're getting the RD customs in from Gibson. Would have been 2013. 2012, 2013. So around the production, this is a couple years later. So they would be using RDs. They're using Les Pauls here. And if you look at them, the headstock logos are blanked out. So I can't tell if they're Epiphone or if they're Gibson Les Pauls. My thought process is they're probably Epiphones because they look like Epiphone. Like those pickups look like Epiphone custom pickups to me.
And see, the only thing that I would say that would counterbalance that is how like Les Pauls are like Gibson Les Paul has that big long like cross like H looking. I don't know, it's that logo. It's on the headstock of the black guitar. So,
is it? I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, the custom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the only thing. Like it looks like a Les Paul Black Beauty is what it looks like. But regardless, like the fact that it's like it's a Les Paul shaped guitar, it's like you don't see Ghost with
interesting.
That.
No, but that's an interesting thing is that if you look at the stuff used on a lot of the records, it's not what they played live.
Right.
Like while they played the RDs live and they played, some SGs and stuff, most of Opus is tracked with an SG, and a lot of Meliora was recorded with a Les Paul, 70s Les Paul.
Yep.
and Strats, right? And there was a couple of different guitars used in Explorer, I think, at some point in Prequel and some other albums. So Ghost have long time used other shapes, and it's interesting to see in this video them using it, and I kind of love that. Also, I feel like if you gave these kids a 25 and a half scale length guitar, it would look really silly, you know?
They'd be so heavy it weighed them down.
Yeah, you know, and those are even the RD. I've now been able to play a Gibson RD and the Hagstrom Phantom, and they're both extremely heavy. The RD is a bit lighter, in my opinion. At least my Phantom is really heavy and would look ridiculous on a kid. So I think it's an interesting move. I also find it interesting that it's not matching the color scheme, right, with a black and white Les Paul, because they do make Les Paul customs, both in Epiphone and Gibson, in white. Like I know Frank from MCR used the Les Paul Elitist customs for the Black Parade tour, and the white and black. And you could have done something interesting there, but they went with this kind of Ace Frehley sunburst type look.
Yeah,
which
that's what
I'll never be mad at because it's that like cherry burst, sunburst. I love the zebra pickups and the poker chip, all the cream hardware. I'm a guitar nerd, so I love that type of stuff.
There's not really much for me to geek out on with the drums because it definitely looks like they just went to a pawn shop and they were just like, that looks good, throw it on the stage.
It's set up real janky in my opinion.
I was going to say, it's set up exactly like you'd find one in a pawn shop, like a guy that does not know fuck all about drums. Just like, I just saw this in a catalog. This is what it's supposed to be set up like.
I love that, and then just the timpani next to it.
Dude, yeah, and just the random dong.
And it's so big, and it's like perfectly set up. And like looks so professional compared to that kit.
But I'm laughing because the Ghoul has to like kind of like high arm reach over it and just I mean, like not over his head.
It's a separate camera shot. It looks like a couple of times. It's so funny.
It's like an afterthought. Hey man, we need a pickup shot. That timpani player didn't get enough airtime. Didn't get enough camera time.
There's a lot of point. Like I love the blatant like the logo on the Gibson headstock just being covered with tape, because if you've ever seen those Chipson guitars, that's how they come, is with the that on it. I'm gonna start a conspiracy theory now that these are Chipson guitars.
There you go.
These are counterfeit Chinese guitars, and that's why that's over it.
That's amazing. And also, when they shoot the smoke off on the stage, how the stage left smoke goes much higher and more grand than the right stage right one. It's like the effects are janky on stage, and then the drum kit's all set up screwy, and
it's so perfect for what you would expect from a talent show, dude. And I love that there's the aspect of like the lights just being like floodlights that just keep rotating, and they're not like there's no moving heads or any type of crazy strobe effects. It's just like it's what your school has, like old school can lights that just go back and forth, a couple of changes, on like a random pattern.
Yeah, or like you get your friend to go like manually operate them and just kind of
absolutely
whatever
like the board,
hey, just go with it, dude. Okay.
You can imagine so everyone's probably had this experience because the kind of plot of the video is that we can assume maybe these kids who are into this darker music and they're performing and everyone's horrified, and slowly all this. I think it's a Catholic school if I read it right in the beginning, and it's like they're all, kind of shocked and horrified by this display of rock music and the devil and satanic imagery. And when I was in school, we did a Misfits cover band for a talent show and had a very similar reaction.
Oh, shit.
That happened. And fun fact, I'm not lying when I say this, Robert De Niro was there.
Jesus Christ.
Because his son went to school there. And so it was like family day. And so surrounded by security was Robert De Niro while I had makeup running down my face and performed Attitude by the Misfits. And that is one of my fondest memories because everyone was kind of shocked by it. And Robert De Niro afterwards said, "Decent job, kid." And I'll never forget that. But it just kind of reminded me of this because it's like, conservative leaning school and you're doing a talent show and, the
only compliment is De Niro.
Yeah.
That's fucking great. Just, I can see him. You played a Misfits track at a very conservative school, and you think that's funny. I do. And I'm tired of pretending it's not.
And obviously this was years before that, but you can hear it in his voice, is that decent job, not bad. So it was also funny because decent job is such not a compliment to a kid. It's such a you should say good job, but he specified decent.
Oh,
And I just
man.
remember my mom tried to get a photo with him, and he put his hand up and said no, and security came over.
That's
So
great.
like,
No, that's fucking
yeah,
funny,
it's like it's
actually.
exactly what you want from But that's kind of on the tangent of that is like I feel like so many musicians have experience of performing like some type of like if you're a metalhead and you're in high school, talent shows coming up, maybe you play guitar, it's like, oh, I'm gonna play this sick heavy song, and everyone's just kind of like, what is happening? It's like it's such a universal experience of like maybe not to the degrees of this video, but I feel like everyone can kind of relate a little bit to being the weird kid.
Yeah, and I mean this video definitely puts that point across. Is it's very obvious like this kid is the rebellious, type. At least that's what I'm picking up, and also just the iconic Ciricing, if you will, of that moment where they're trying to pull her away from the stage, and he's holding on to her, and then he takes the mic off the stand and and gets in her face, which is like very reminiscent of like how Papa does or used to do, I should say. He would take the microphone off and then get hands and like kneel down and do it.
I think that as we've gotten further away from the cycle, we sometimes forget that this is the moment. This is what started that. Nowadays he kneels down and sings to someone, or a camera, depending on where you are in the arena. But I think that we forget that back in the day, this would be recreated every night on stage. This moment, he'd kneel down and grab onto someone's hand and then kiss it in the last moment, during that same part in the song, recreating that part of the video up until Ultimate Tour Named Death, where they got the arena barricades. That was a huge part of the show. And, people have made the best of the version he can do now.
Yeah.
Of course.
Now
it's not the same.
Yeah, now he just fucking points at you like the tall man from Phantasm. Boy!
Yeah. But it's crazy because we don't really have. I don't think there's a lot of other music videos that have spawned an iconic like live moment from them. Like if there are others, like I can't really think of any other music videos that really have an iconic moment like that has became such a quintessential thing that everyone hopes for, in live shows.
That's going to be the fun part about revisiting the rest of these going forward.
Yeah, as we go through, we'll have to see. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say that maybe like the use of Papa and smoke in the previous videos and him entering through the smoke is something that's continued on through a lot of them, of him entering through a cloud of smoke, like in Secular Haze. But that's kind of a stretch, as much as this is an iconic thing directly lifted from the video that is a huge part of the live shows now.
Absolutely, because with the introduction of Papa Nil, the smoke that Papa comes through is a fart cloud from then on. So
yes,
very much need to hang on to these moments from 2016 backwards, everybody.
Yeah. Before this is the time when you could walk through that cloud of smoke and not need a respirator.
That's right.
This
in fact, this is why Papa Zero had a respirator walking on stage. He had to walk through his own fart cloud to get out there.
Yep. It's a hard business being a pope.
Just saying.
One of my favorite shots is right around 3:06 during this,
it's right there for me.
Eyes turn red. It's such a great effect,
That's actually our thumbnail art as well, everybody out there listening. Yep. So that is the moment we're talking about.
It's such a great shot, and everyone starts standing up and under this possession of the devil, and everything's going crazy, and we start to see one cool thing about this too is like as we talked about, this is something Ghost used to do a lot, and we'll talk about it more as we go through these videos, but kind of rewarding fans by letting them be cast in the videos, something that they could never do today, but really shows how much Ghost was connected to their fan base back then and really rewarded them for their dedication and for all that they did for the band. You can see multiple admins from our friends over at Legion of Ghost, in this video. I think there's 3 or 4 in here, a couple other fans too. And it's very cool to see that because not many bands do that these days, or they, you pay a lot of money to be featured in a cameo or something. It's just cool of Ghost to invite at this time the people who are dedicated to them and appreciating them to be a part of the history,
Yeah.
And, that's always there as, these audience members. And it's almost adds a funny layer of these audience members being these kind of, conservative Christian people acting horrified and, knowing some of them are Ghost fans,
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny to see that role be played by those types of people.
Just the dude that stood up and rips his shirt open with the crucifix burned into his chest. So that's pretty damn funny, actually.
There's when I saw them in 2019, someone tried to recreate that moment, but kind of failed. Like they ripped it open, the shirt wouldn't rip, and Cardi was right there, and like he like got it open and had like a badly drawn crucifix that was like the right side up. And Cardi just kind of shook his head and walked away, and then the guy kind of slunk into the pit and just kind of disappeared. It was like really embarrassing.
I can hear him just like walk off.
It was just a kind of like, yeah, don't do that, man. Like that was kind of like just. Then he was just shirtless.
What is that? I don't know. I don't know. Walks away.
I can hear it so clearly.
I can't do.
It's like one of those things where it's like clearly the dude was very upset that the moment didn't like end with him getting pulled on stage or something, and kind of just like slunked away, and I felt bad. But it's like one of those things where it's like, that moment works so well, but like the dude had a strong shirt that he tried to rip. And like it just wouldn't rip.
He probably sold a lot of t-shirts by accident that night. Somebody probably saw that and be like, man, those are fucking strong t-shirts. I gotta buy some.
That's the commercial going forward for that brand. Are you going to a satanic ritual where you want to rip your shirt off? Well, this is not the one for that. But if you need to have your shirt survive a wood chipper.
Fruit of the Doom t-shirts. Yeah.
My favorite part is the guitar solo. And the young Papa's like over exaggerated version of Papa's movements, almost like thrashing his arms about, doing the mystical spooky hands at the guitar player.
Yeah,
and he's just putting his whole body into it. Like
he's like leaned over the keyboard player at one moment doing it too, and he's like on the other side he's doing it the guitar player. Also, that is another thing I wanted to point out that I thought was pretty cool. I don't know if maybe they had cast certain people under the mask or whatever, because like I know the drummer is not a drummer, but the guitar miming on the guitar solo is the guitar solo. So I'm wondering if maybe they just shot hands and then or they had like a taller kid or like a somebody that has like the arms or the body type of a young child like playing the guitar, which is really good. Whoever's under that, great job.
I think the same for the piano, right? And I couldn't be wrong, but as I look at the hands, it looks like a woman's hands, actually, to me. As I'm looking at this again, there's definitely looks like almost acrylics on those nails. I'm trying to get a freeze frame of it. I have it pulled up. Those are long nails. So I don't know if that is the case, if these are doubles, but it really does kind of sell that part of the song. Because how many times have we watched music videos or like TV shows where people are playing instruments and it's been so badly acted?
It's giving Nirvana Top of the Pops, if anybody understands that reference.
Yep. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
If you don't understand that reference, I will just
Google it.
Give you I was gonna say I'll give you the too long didn't read, but you can Google it too.
I think people need to see that too. But
so pretty much what happened is they wanted Nirvana to mime, because nobody on Top of the Pops ever actually plays the song live. They just play to their studio track and they mime to it. And Kurt was like, fuck that. So he legitimately just stiff finger like on the frets and just very stiff arm up and down, not even in time, fake strumming his guitar while the riff was being played on a backing track or their studio track. And it was this is all over YouTube and it's great. So that's probably the most punk rock fucking thing you can do, is like, no, fuck you, man. I want to play my song for real. So
I love when stuff like that happens,
when keeping it real goes right.
Yes. And I really love that in this video, it's such a great introduction to this era still, because like this song is so massive and was, of course, got even more massive, right? But we start getting around the last bit of it in the second half of the video, and you have the principal, I assume, or the pastor, depending on which church, goes up, and grabs tries to grab the kid to stop this performance, as all hell is breaking loose, quite literally. And we reveal that the girl has powers.
Unleash the Cirice. There you go.
Yes. The Cirice has been summoned.
That's right.
And she, sucks the door shut. And my favorite part of this is we get this great shot of everyone acting horrified. My favorite one is, the man in the suit, who is, I believe that is Mikey from Legion of Ghosts, and making this, this funny face is his like suit seems to be like ripped off of him a little bit from like, the sheer force of things. And we get this awesome shot of, that little keyboard rip, and everything's kind of just filling out. And my favorite part is everyone starts to leave right after the guy gets strangled. And you have this remaining couple who are just loving it. We can assume probably the parents.
I was literally going to say probably his parents. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, who are so happy, and they look like they would be into this. It's like
somebody pointed out on, I want to say on Reddit, they may have made a connection that the dad in that couple was in one of the summoning videos.
There's debates on that, right? On like who's it's implied to be in the summoning videos. I believe, in my opinion, that the ghouls are supposed to be those men that we see, where we see the guy who looks very similar to that with the bald hair, or the blonde hair, in there. And I've known some people, and they say these are your new masks. Sister tells them and shows them, and we see basically what looks like blonde Swedish dudes, sitting around. And we know, of course, it's not the actual ghouls, but I believe that is implied to be the ghouls. And it's an interesting thing if we assume that logic, that this is one of the ghouls unmasked, enjoying this, and maybe that's where the power is coming from. There's some interesting implications that could be there for sure.
Yeah.
It's a fun coincidence for sure, because if you watch, I want to say it's the first summoning video, that one before this on VH1, there is a guy with very similar hair who is sitting with, the table of ghouls while Sister's talking.
Oh, there's one thing I want to point out too that I before I forget about it. So when the headmaster, I'm going to assume like headmaster, principal, whatever, when he goes to unplug the track, because I'm assuming that this is a talent show, he is unplugging the song they're playing to. I enjoyed that where he unplugs it, like in where the song is, the feedback that happens after he does it is, I believe, the same pitch and note of the chord that they actually end the song on. Like it's very much just a different frequency, but I think it's the same or close to it. It's
really cool. Yeah, it doesn't feel it feels rough, but it also does kind of resolve it in the same way that the song resolves. So it's a cool feature to it. And I like that kind of like in the video, right? The song doesn't resolve, in the way we say it kind of is that kind of awkward end to it of just pure chaos. And I really love that vibe to it.
Yeah, given how calm it starts, it just goes like right over the fucking top at the end.
It's interesting too, because this video is, I think, very evident of this cycle in a lot of ways, and a great introduction because it is an old school horror kind of campy classic thing. And one thing I've always said that Ghost reminds me of is old school Halloween and old school horror.
Yeah.
When Ghost is at their prime and at their best and doing what they do, they are that kind of classy vaudevillian horror of like, old, either Hammer horror films or, things you find in Famous Monsters magazines, that type of horror, and that kind of campy vibe. A little Rocky Horror Picture Show in there too, but 70s horror films. And this video feels like it could have been something that would have played perfectly in that era.
Bro, I've got a deep cut for you. And it was weird. Like, I was like, because you were talking about like the comic books, like the monster comic books and shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
Dude. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Ghost are the equivalent of a comic book that Daffy Duck would have read in Quackbusters. That's a deep cut for a lot of you fuckers out there.
Yep. I can see that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because that's probably one of my favorite like Looney Tunes movies, but it does like ring true here because it's campy, and there's like that opening sequence of him intermingling as he's dreaming with all these, basically all the Universal monsters. He's got like Dracula and Frankenstein's monster, Bride of Frankenstein, stuff like that. So that's what I mean when I say Ghost are the comic book that he would have read in the opening of that movie. And that's how I see this era as very like goofy, spooky, classic. Like this, we've spoken about the album on a couple of past episodes where, we both feel that, we have favorite albums, of their catalog, but we both, I think, feel that Meliora is like the perfect Ghost album as far as like the vibe, the look, the band, the goal.
The perfect album and perfect era. Like, I think that it is, and this is not, not to say extendedly, I think it is their peak. I think this is the best they've been, the best they will ever be. It is everything you want from this band there. And there's nothing wrong with that. It is perfect. It is, I think when everyone thinks to Ghost, they think of in some way this cycle. Casual people especially. This is the photos all the time. The GIFs, like everything comes from this. It is beautifully designed, and it was intentionally done so. This is is there any Kiss fans out there? This is their Destroyer. Everything kind of stems from it. For Kiss, Destroyer introduced, the armor for Gene, and, all the, the theatricality and the pyrotechnics and all that type of stuff, and the big, large theatrical stage show. And same for Ghost, Meliora Cycle, and this video, and all of this started the iconic some type of chrome devil mask or chrome mask, which even we still have silver mask. It started the elements being displayed, and Papa wearing casual suits, and like everything stems from here. This is really the genesis of them finding their footing.
Yeah.
And this video is the same thing. It's really can't be understated how important it is,
Yeah, like that was probably like one of the best comparisons as far as like this era to another band. It's like this is their Destroyer. This is, and for me, I'm sitting here like this is their Shout at the Devil. This is literally like the album, and this music video I think is a fun way to have kicked it off, because this is the first single music video from this record, and it's still one of their biggest fucking songs, ever.
Absolutely. And this video I think holds up. It does a great job of being a nice campy 70s horror, kind of almost mini horror movie in its own. It's brilliantly directed by Roboshobo.
Yeah. And you know what I like about this video?
Yeah, what?
A lot of stuff, even right now, are like dialing back to vintage, like analog stuff. So the way that this video was shot and the production and the look of it, it actually makes it a little timeless as far as like, because we could sit there, it's a time capsule, because like some videos shoot in that time, that moment, and they have that technology on screen, and then it's dated later on. This is not dated in the least bit, only dated by the year of release, but the look of it, even in that time frame, was maybe, 25 years before it is what they were shooting for. They were shooting for a period of 25 years prior to the era they were in currently. And even now, a lot of people are trying to recreate 70s and early 80s cinema with some of the stuff they're doing. So this is very timeless, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it holds up so well because of that. And there's this vibe of just, if you were there for that, there's nostalgia. If you aren't, there's also it's just a very nostalgic, timeless video in that way, but in not in the way of like retro and like, this is outdated. It's in a way of like, this is cool. And it's really nice to see this video again, as like I said, it's one that I do very much enjoy, but I just haven't watched in recent times. And it was nice to look back and revisit it. It's such a unique video in the Ghost video catalog as we go forward with this, because the videos, this era starts off very, very strong in its videos, and it takes a weird turn as we progress, and kind of gets back onto more of this type of stuff, but it takes a very weird turn going forward, where there's a lot of videos that maybe are a little more eccentric and less produced in this way, if that makes sense. Like, we'll talk about it in the future, but it's kind of an interesting, I'm glad they started with this video versus some of the other videos of this cycle, because while this video doesn't necessarily have, the band or Papa, in it, other than, representations of them from, the kids and all the other stuff, like in the songs, I think it is a much stronger introduction to this era than, say, Where We Go Next with like Pinnacle.
Yeah, and ironically, the next 5 music videos actually not consecutively bounce back and forth, but they do go back and forth between the same 2 directors, that being Roboshobo and Zev Deans, which Zev Deans wound up directing 4 of the next 5, and that includes 1 from Perkel each. Like, they both have shot on that record.
They have such different styles in the way that they do things, really. And, Roboshobo was doing, at the time later on, the chapters and stuff, had a big hand in all of that, and had a different understanding of the style. I want to say, and from listening to Zev talk, the band had a bigger hands-on approach in the videos in these ones. This one specifically, like Cirice, than some of the other ones where there was a lot of outsourcing of the videos being made, which creates even more of a stylistic kind of change as the cycle goes on. So this one's a good start for it.
So the next time you hear from us, we're going to be continuing the Meliora Party with From the Pinnacle to the Pit, directed by the aforementioned Zev Deans. And from then on, there are 2 more from the Papa 3 era. For past, present, and future episodes of GonstFM Off Air, you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. You can leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. You can leave us a rating and leave comments on individual episodes on Spotify. And if you're listening to this episode on our YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to the channel, clicking the bell for notifications for future episodes, leaving a like on this video, or leaving a comment down below. Any engagement helps. If you would like to come to a future GonstFM Station Head radio ritual, or if you would like to join the official Facebook groups Ghost Cosplay or GonstFM, all of this can be found in our Linktree links in the show notes below. And so, our dearest Godslings, that brings this week's episode to a close. Some of you we will see in Internet Land, and the rest of you we will see in GonstFam or Ghost Cosplay. Take care of yourselves out there, and remember, until next time, in Gonst, we Tronst. I'm Papa X.
And I'm Uncle Ghoul.
And we'll catch you next time.